instead. He's looking for Benyon. Sells!
Hello and welcome to part two of this week's Gull'S Eye View. We've been joined again. Thank you so much, Rich, from the bunch of amateurs for joining us. Rich, just for those who might not know, talk a little bit again about bunch of amateurs and also the link to Dorking, and we'll go from there.
Okay, started a YouTube channel 4.5 years ago. We're going to make a film. Then COVID got in the way, turned it into a channel, and it took off. And then when Charlwood, the first team we were filming, got COVID locked down, we went and asked Mark if he wouldn't mind us filming him. And then he exploded on TikTok. And fast forward a few years later, and it's a full-time job.
Yeah, incredible. And it's one of my favorite football series I've seen for many years. It's absolutely fantastic. Let's talk about this season then. From a Dorking perspective, how has it been? Obviously, we've seen it through the series, but what have been your thoughts and sort of the season to go so far?
Yeah, we've gotten lucky every year that they've had a an eventful time of it, and it hasn't been easy. They tend to lend themselves to good stories.
Mm.
They have the ups and downs that you need. They have supreme ordeals halfway through, and you can't really predict how it's going to end. Yeah, I think if they were runaway champions, like Mark kind of hoped they would be, that would have been there'd have been some interesting times, but overall it would have been quite relatively boring, I think. Certainly compared to what we've got now, when you've got six teams, maybe five now, that are in the mix for whether it's the title or, I mean, it's what, seven or eight teams involved in
Yeah,
the playoff fight.
yeah, it's crazy.
So it's I've never seen a season like it. I've never worked on a season like it. So yeah, I couldn't really have asked for more. The fact that it was such a tough start and they still had a lot of demons to get over at the beginning
Mm.
has really set us up nicely for the ending, I think.
I mean, again, like well, I spoke last time you were on in the summer how that playoff final was like the most perfect plot. Well, I mean, this
Mm.
season, I think it's been such a good season for National League South. We were predicting it before the season started in pre-season, but I mean, to have a lot of sort of world football almost at one point, looking at that title race when it's so close. How good has that actually been for your series as well? Do you feel that's like put extra people say Dorking? Oh yeah, that's from that series, and do you just feel like it's helped really sort of helped your profile sort of this season, that sort of title race?
What you mean, the previous title
No,
race,
no, this
this title
season
race?
now,
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean, yes, the fact that they're in amongst it, um, the the teams. One of the big things for us over the last 2 years is the teams that we've come up against have given us a new audience. You know, the
yeah,
size of the following for whether it's Halifax or Oldham or
mm,
whatever, Wrexham has really helped push us. So this season, for there to be a couple of big teams at the top, certainly well supported teams, whether it's you guys or Boreham Wood, their support base isn't huge, but there are teams up there that are taking more of an interest in us. I think
mm,
Worthing is another one where they've got quite a vociferous fan base, and we want to tap into them as well. So it's definitely advantageous to be fighting it out with clubs like
yeah.
that.
Yeah, no, I agree. How's yeah, just so what's been your favorite moments of the season so far filming? Because there's been a lot I've enjoyed. But what do you reckon are like the pivotal moments? Because as you say, like at the start of the
Mm.
season, what was the mood around the club? Obviously, you see it on a documentary, but was it still you always felt he was going to get his way out of it, or was there any moments where you thought, hang on a minute, this might not go well here?
I think when we were at Horsham and we went out of the
Mm,
cup again, and that was during a period when they couldn't string a couple of wins together.
mm,
I think we were beginning to question. Mark wasn't. Mark always knew. That's no. To be fair, I think I remember him saying, we're in more of a rebuild than I realised.
yeah.
But I don't think anyone ever thought we wouldn't be in amongst it by the end. I think we've always
Mm,
believed that would be the case. Certainly playoffs. Once the squad really started coming together, Alfie started hitting form.
yeah.
Charlie was looking amazing. I I think we all probably felt really that they were gonna start playing much better than they have been, certainly more consistently than they have been. Tony Craig at the backs, distribution is light years from where it was previously as well. I think that's been a big factor. Teams let Tony have the ball. That seems to be the tactic. Every team, when there's a +1, chooses a defender that they would rather have the ball, and most teams choose Tony. and that gives Tony plenty of time to pick out a pass, which he does really well. So we've seen improvements across the whole team. I think Mark's kind of tinkered with it a little bit. He's thrown a couple of extra players in, which is always good for me because it's good to have new faces around and kind of try and introduce those guys. Which is a big challenge trying to make sure everyone knows who everybody is. There's so many faces around the club that becomes quite hard to do.
I think
No.
it's fair to say you've had quite an interesting Dorking have had an interesting start to the season. Obviously, the opening game against Truro, where the shirt clash.
Yeah, yeah.
Welcome to the National League South. What an introduction, I suppose, back to that level. But going sort of to when you came to play more on that was it bank holiday weekend or something around that time? It was. I think they
It
lucked
was
out with
around
the
that
fixture
It
time.
list
seems a
for
lifetime ago now.
it
Does
does,
seem a
doesn't it?
lifetime ago
But
now. Crikey.
Dorking had a lot of injuries, which probably explain their rather slow start to the campaign, struggling to fill a bench. Do you honestly believe had Dorking not had those injuries at the start, maybe Dorking would have run away with it by now?
This the team that's playing right now, that's in the current run that it's in. If it had hit the ground running at the start of the season,
Mm.
yeah, they'd be 10 points clear. I don't think there's any question about that. They are that good a side, and I think if you look at how many teams have led the National League South this season, how much it's rotated, I think that goes to show that what lacks is consistency in the
Yeah.
sides that have been at the top, being able to hold on to it. Whereas Dorking have been so consistent. And yeah, to be fair, Worthing have been very consistent at times, but they have, had these blips, and that's
Mm.
why other teams are in the mix still. I
Yeah, I
think,
agree.
when you look at you guys, you're still recovering, beginning of this season, recovering from where you were before.
Mm.
So you weren't necessarily best placed. Boreham Wood building a new side, I suppose, and spending a bit of money. I don't think they ever assumed that they would run away with it. So yeah, Dorking really just needed to be the team they are now, and it was almost impossible to do that, I think.
How did you view the home game against us? A big crowd, lovely summer's day. From a bunch of amateurs' perspective, you were actually allowed in with no issues
Yeah,
this
yeah,
time.
treated really
Uh,
well, and it was nice to
Highlight of
meet
the
the
day,
new
I imagine.
guys. Yeah.
What can you recall? What can you recall from the game at Plainmoor early in the season?
Yeah, when I look back on it, you got Moro and Baz playing in that game, and Moro's kind of on the periphery now. He's coming back, but Baz is obviously over. Where's Baz gone? I've forgotten. It's not Gillingham, is he? He's gone somewhere over Kent Way. So the squad looks quite different. You've got the Lone Rangers, as I coined yesterday, Morgan Williams and Jack Young. There's a different depth to the squad now.
Mm.
I think I think Dorking were very unfortunate to lose that game
Yeah,
and
they
should
were
have equalised in the last seconds anyway. When Baz
mental.
put his header
Yeah.
wide. I think it was one kind of wonder goal that won it. And it felt like one of those games where, do you know what, that's going to happen a couple of times every
Mm.
season. And as Mark said a few times, you can let that happen 2 or 3 times in a season. You can't let it happen as much as it has. And yet they're still in amongst it. So,
Mm.
yeah, I don't think they should have lost that game. I think they're unfortunate too. They had a hell of a lot of possession, missed their chances. But that will be the summary of their season if they don't go up. It will
Mm.
be they really should have done better, I think.
And I still think in such a good place. I mean, we're talking in our last episode now. If Worthing Pep Dorking to the title, most likely Dorking are still going to end in pretty good form. Oh, to be fair, Truro as well, and you're going to get most likely a home playoff, and that's going to be very
Mm.
important for these teams. Just ending the season now in form. Whereas we're probably right now we're looking at an away game, so yeah, it is crazy. You might find it. I don't think it'll be the last Dorking and Torquay tomorrow. Just slightly
No, maybe
scary,
not.
really.
Yeah,
But
maybe not.
that's tomorrow, Sunday. Yeah, okay, Saturday. That's what Saturday. We'll look at Saturday actually. We're coming on Thursday, then. But yeah, it's just such an interesting season. Right. So obviously as well, unfortunately, as good as obviously a bunch of amateurs has been, there was a very sad, I put from our point of view, sort of incident throughout the season, which really sort of brought home, at the end of the day, it's just how much work goes into these sort of projects, and if you don't have to go into it too much, but just the incident for those who don't know what happened there.
So sometimes for an away game, I would pack the car the night before. I'd always make sure
Yeah,
nobody was looking, and
yeah,
I've always been quite careful with that. I've never shown on the BOA Plus stuff behind the scenes. I never
Yeah.
show that I've ever done that.
Hmm.
But somebody must have spotted me, and I'd assume a neighbour because I don't know who else possibly could have seen that my equipment was in the car. And then overnight, they stole it all.
Shocking.
So we lost. We lost. I- It's difficult to put a number on it because if you were to go and buy that stuff all brand new, it's between 25 and 30 grand. So, that morning going down to the car, putting the batteries in the car and thinking, why is the parcel shelf back? And then looking in the boot and realizing everything's gone. I ran up to this office and looked in here thinking, did I not pack the car last night? Nothing in here. And then it's just like almost a panic attack. And then it started dawning on me what the sheer volume of stuff that I'd lost. We'd never had that much equipment in one place before. I had enough to do a massive shoot that day, which we'd never managed to do before with that to that degree. So the irony of that all being in one place and then being nicked is mad. And then the thought that actually, do you know what, we might be done here because
Mm.
I don't know if the insurance will pay out. I still don't at this point. We think they will, but we're waiting to find out. And certainly in the short term, we wouldn't be able to shoot. We couldn't shoot Welling that day. I didn't think we'd be able to shoot the following week. Somebody launched a GoFundMe. Someone down at the club launched a GoFundMe on our behalf, and I mean, it was just I wouldn't go through this by choice, but the sheer scale of positivity that we've had in
Mm.
response far outweighs the negativity, I suppose, is the easiest way of putting it. We've had hundreds of messages of people saying, I'll
Mm.
lend you my camera, or how do I pay you 10 quid? It's been the response has been absolutely incredible, and it was enough for us to go out and buy a bare minimum kit for the following week. And the week after that, we were close to being at a normal capacity for a game. So we had enough kit to do two shoots at the same time,
Yeah.
two decent shoots or one amazing shoot. And we're
Hmm.
at this point we're at one decent shoot.
Okay.
So if we want to do a second show next season, we desperately need the insurance to pay out.
Okay.
How many cameras would you normally have for a game?
For that day, I think it was bear with me. That would have been 4, 9, 10 plus the GoPros and the drones. So 24 cameras,
Wow.
all in all. And the following week after Welling, we shot with 5 cameras.
Mm.
So, you know, you will notice a difference if you watch. We haven't made that episode yet.
Yeah.
Archie's just started working on it today. I think you'll notice that we didn't get our settings right on the new equipment. We didn't
Hmm.
get. I couldn't figure out how to make everything look like it did before. And actually, do you know what? That's probably been the toughest part is buying new equipment. So we're getting all this
Yeah.
new stuff turning up every day. There's a new lens that turned up today. We've got a camera down there. Getting it all in order and getting it back to the same settings and stuff that it was at has taken
Yeah.
so much time downloading firmware and stuff. So I'm sitting in
Mm.
this office all the time anyway, and then suddenly I've got to refresh all of my equipment. It's been an absolute headache getting it back to where it was. But we're very close now, and I think the shoots will look pretty normal from here on.
Good.
But like I say, if we want to do a second show and we've got some ideas what to do, I don't know. I don't know if we're going to be able to do that. So we're just really praying that the insurance gives us a payout.
Yeah, well, all of us at TORQUAYTALK, everyone actually, all your whole football community, as you saw, hopes that will get sorted. And as you say, as much as we could speak about the vermin that did that, it does show, what an positive impact you've had on the football community and people around. So, yeah, well, best of luck with all that. We'll go to Saturday's game then. From a Dorking perspective, obviously it's a big occasion. I think we're close to selling out our away allocation, so it's going to be a
Yep.
big one. I
Yeah.
think I can't wait. First time I've gone
700
Dorking.
already, I've heard.
Yeah, I'm so excited. So yeah, what's the feeling? Because last time it was on a Tuesday, wasn't it? That was a classic game, really. We were dreadful, but the 3-2, and that's huge at the bottom of the National League. What's the feeling, obviously, from Dorking's point of view for this weekend?
Excitement, I think.
Yeah.
We were talking last night. I said to Mark that he needed to treat it not that I ever give him advice he listens to, but he definitely agreed with me on this. We had to treat it like the Chesterfield match last season, where it's such a big game that it needs an incredible amount of planning, and it has to go to plan. And he was talking last night about what he expects Torquay to do in the two or three different scenarios that they'll come to Dorking with. I'm really hoping it's a sunny day, packed crowd, and
Yeah.
we just get that real buzz out of it. From a storytelling perspective, my heart is in Dorking. I'm a Charlton supporter, but my heart is in
Yeah.
Dorking, and I do always want them to win.
Mm.
But I feel less pain than a hardcore Dorking supporter, because I'm always thinking, well, what happens next for us as a show? What's good for the
Yeah.
story? So there's a no lose scenario from a bunch of amateurs' perspective.
Yeah.
If they don't win the game and we start looking more at the playoffs, we get extra couple of episodes out of it, and potentially an incredible finish to the season. And I said to Mark last night, like, I can't handle another finish like that. And I said, and also from a show's perspective, we're never going to get anything as good as that.
No.
And he just gave me a massive grin and was like, "You sure about that, Rich?" And I was like, "Oh fuck."
You can't predict this league this season.
I've
Anything can still
also
happen.
from a Torquay point of view, especially when we were looking quite good a few months ago. I was speaking to a few of our board, and they're going, "Oh, yeah." I was like, "You do realise it's going to be playoffs?" I was like, "It's the Torquay thing. You do realise after everything the club's gone through, they're not just going to go and win the league. That was never going to happen. It's going to be playoffs if we're going to win the league. And I feel probably Dorking, from your point of view, you're thinking that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be a great game. I think. I just hope, from my point of view, and Torquay's point of view, it's just we really go out there and sort of give us all. If we give Dorking too much respect, then we're not going to do well. To be honest, like I don't see another like 1-0 like we had at Plainmoor. I just
No.
think I just see that this time Dorking will get their act together in front of goal.
Yeah, Dorking aren't afraid of scoring goals at the moment, but at home they're marginally better away from home, and we put that down to the pitch. So when people talk about home playoff ties, like in the past, Mark's attitude has very much been, it would take a hell of a thing to beat Dorking at Meadowbank. But this year, I think we wouldn't mind so much playing on grass somewhere else.
It's an interesting one, isn't it? It's an
better.
interesting one because we've had this really good home form all season, but recently, my fear is actually for Torquay point of view, if we get a playoff at home, if a team comes and sit backs and frustrates, it starts to get quite a nervous play more. So I'm with you on that one actually. Sometimes that away playoff does. I mean, look at last season. Tommy brought it up in part one tonight. Actually, it was the away teams that did a lot better in last season. So I think
It's a lottery.
So, yeah.
It's just a pure lottery. You finish in the playoffs, and again, and this season has proven anything can happen. Just looking at Dorking's results, they've not lost a game since the 18th of January, where they lost 3-1 to Western, and then have gone on a heck of a run. But the last couple of home games, a draw, 2-2 draw to Farnborough. They were ahead, weren't they? And then threw it away. And then Chelmsford, same again, 2-2, and then they drew 1-1 at Maidstone last night. So from a Torquay perspective, you've got to look at it and think there's an opportunity there, because we've got over our plastic pitch curse. We won one game on plastic on the weekend against Tunbridge.
Over.
But then the Tuesday last night, we were in absolute shambles against Salisbury and probably didn't deserve a point. It's going to be an interesting run to the end of the season. And funny we should bring up Mark White, because once again he's provided us with a couple of quotes to share. Thank you again, Mark. Friend of the podcast, I must say now, I suppose. So let me just get it on here. This is Mark White's thoughts ahead of the weekend's clash.
So, really looking forward to the visit of you boys. I think as a football club owner, clubs that travel in numbers, well supported, it's something we really appreciate. It's what makes the football world go round, and there's many clubs in the National South that will be benefiting week in, week out from clubs like Torquay's following, which is the largest probably in the division. So it seems only yesterday you guys came down for that the game in the league above. In your relegation year, I believe. I think the clubs have got good relationships. I think in terms of the league table, I've said it all year long, really. I think the strength of the league is if I'm really honest, is its weaknesses. And we're part of that as well. I think there is a chasm between the league above and the National South. I think the fact that so many teams can have a remotely good spell and then turn over anyone else just tells you maybe that the league is a little bit lacking in overall quality. And I put us in that in terms of, a team that's not across the whole season stamped their authority. And I think that's why it's so tight. Listen, Paul's done a great job. We're looking forward to the visit. There's a lot of activity. I don't think the game's defining really for either club. There's a lot of points on the table. There's a lot of things still going to happen. And that's why we love football.
There we are. Brilliant. Well, I think he does make a valid point there, though. Like, it's not just the fact that this league is really good, it's also because the league is actually not good enough to be consistent. I think a lot of teams, Torquay at Christmas, they go top of the league, and we've had a really tough few months. So, yeah, no, very, very good point. And sadly, there is quite a golfing class now. But we'll see. Right. Anything left to add, Tom?
A couple of questions from me.
Okay, go on.
Congratulations on your gold award at the Football Contents Awards, mate.
Yes,
very well deserved.
yes.
Can you just take us through that evening? Because unfortunately, we weren't able to go. I mean, we got a bronze for the podcast, which we're all very delighted with.
Hang it on my wall.
Yeah, it was fun. We'd been in New York a few days before, so we were all absolutely hanging still. And I remember on the plane on the way back, I said to Mark and JB, the chief exec, and Jack, who was working for me, "Don't blow this out. You've got to come." And you could tell Mark was on the verge of blowing it out. I was like, "No, you've got to come." So I really harassed them because we bought the table and really wanted to win it. And we've only ever won. I think we won an award for best podcast once, which was weird. That's the only thing we'd ever won. And the guy said, I don't even remember what it was, but he said, "Oh, I wanted to give you something, so I just put you in the podcast category." Okay, we'll take that. But then we won the non-league Bible one, and then that one within a month or so. So it was, it was really nice for a change to win something. And going up on stage, I think Mark was so tired, he just kind of took the piss out of me, out of the show, out of himself, and then walked off. So that was a funny one. But
I hope you gave us a good cheer. I hope you gave us a good cheer when we got bronze.
We did, yes, we did, absolutely.
Good lads, good lads.
Yeah.
And one from Tom Diamond. He says, "It's curious how to get on camera for the weekend's game, and is it all right if he's had a few to drink beforehand?"
Best way of getting on camera is to not try to get on camera. Don't necessarily respond well to people that I don't trust. Anyone that says, "Please interview me," I'm like, yeah, I'm not sure we're going to get on. We had that at the weekend, actually, the Chelmsford fans, and I've got on really well with Chelmsford in the past. Robbie Simpson's a friend of the show, and I'd say 20 16-year-olds turned up, and they were chanting, "Shove your bunch of amateurs up your backside," at me as they walked past, and then 2 or 3 of them said, "Oh, can you interview us next?" And I'm like, "You're tactically inept. This is not how it works." So yeah, if you want to get on the show, just hope that someone's around that asks for an interview, or if you see a camera, don't look at it, because we never use the shot, so people look at the camera.
You'll have plenty to choose from on the weekend, I'm sure. We've got most of the Gull'S Eye View team are going, aren't we?
Yeah.
Even Swanee's coming for an away game, which is
I know.
No, it's a big game if Swanee's on his way.
Oh yeah, of course. There you go. That's brilliant. Cheers, Tom. Thank you so much for joining us again this week's episode. Hopefully we bump into you at the weekend as well. I won't look at the camera and we'll ask for an interview, so hopefully that'll be fine. And then that's all good. And good luck for the rest of the season. Good luck with all the insurance stuff. And keep making the content that so many thousands of us enjoy, and has really just brought football and non-league football back. So nice to see. So yeah, thanks, Rich. And we'll
cheers, lads.
Cheers.
Here's Hargreaves, chance for Torquay. Chris Hargreaves, the captain. He stays on side. Carlisle checks instead. He's looking for Benyon. Sells.